Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Three Men of Football podcast. All right, lads, how we doing?
Not bad. How we doing, lads? Okay.
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. All the best and all that.
Yeah, this is the first from after New Year.
Yeah, that's the first one.
I can't believe he didn't throw you off then, Thomas. I think Darren was thrown off by the conversation we've just had about how comfortable Thomas needed to be because his groin area was not as comfortable as it should be.
No, one of my balls got stuck on my leg.
Tell you what, we put out some quality content, don't we?
This is good stuff. Keep this in.
No, but it is.
Yeah. How are we all doing?
Doing well, mate. Yeah, not too bad at all. Just getting through each day, really, because of lockdowns and school closures, and it's crazy.
How's school going, Daz? Are you in and out of school over each day? Or?
No, I'm in at the moment because most of the teachers are home. They have families and stuff, so it was just easier if they stayed at home. But they're on a rota that helps them coming to school. It's crazy because the key worker list is huge, and I think something needs to come out and say actually what our key workers. But until he closes other businesses down as such and furloughs people again, then you're going to have this. People are going to say the key workers, and I get it. It's so difficult.
It's hard, isn't it?
It's a grey area.
How about you, Tom? You still working from home much?
Yeah, I'm full-time working from home. I have been since March. It took a while to get used to. Now I'm quite used to it, but I like we get the opportunity to go in and do a day in the office. And because I do nighttime economy, I can go out, I can go to work. So it's all right if things are getting a bit stressful at home and you want a break for the day. It's great to just go to the office. Brilliant.
Yeah, makes a big difference, don't it? I think most companies are going to get back to the point where they're doing some sort of mix of working from home and getting into the office at some stage, because the pressure on mental health is massive, isn't it? Even though I've got so used to it over the years, I spend a lot of time working from home. It's so hard when you just literally can't do anything else. And because your weekends are spent at home as well, it just never feels like you're getting a break. You're never away from the computer.
Yeah, you're right. I also think that, like, Rachel's at home with me now. The wife's obviously within tier 4, and she's really struggling with, like, I'll throw the kettle on and she'll just go upstairs and start folding some clothes or tidying up, and then she goes, "Oh, I'm supposed to be working," and then run back down, turn the computer on, and it's a bit hard to get your head around.
It's the temptation of when you're not used to it. It's the temptation of doing the things that you normally do when you're at home, like you put the telly on, or you get up in the morning, you have your breakfast, and then you don't go to your computer. You go to the living room and put the telly on. It's getting out of those habits and getting yourself disciplined. That's the hard bit, especially for people who've never done it before.
Yeah, it's getting out of the weekend.
Yeah,
and making sure you timetable your day properly. Because that's what we advise for the kids and stuff and parents, is that we put a timetable together and we try and stick to it as best we can.
Yeah, well, let's hope this lockdown gets us through, and it looks like the vaccine rollout is going well. They're doing about 200,000 a day in the UK, so they're hoping to do 12 to 13 million, all the vulnerable categories by middle of Feb. Hopefully that gets us into a place where we can start easing the restrictions, but let's see how we get on, and then hopefully we'll get our jab at some point in the spring or the summer. We'll see.
Thanks, Mr. Hancock.
Don't he'll start crying again. All right, so I wanted to start today by talking about something really important, which is the Miles from Mick campaign. So we did a podcast a couple of weeks ago before Christmas with Tony Denson to talk about Michael Lundon and the Miles from Mick campaign, which was basically an effort to get Mick some messages from his friends and people around the city for his 40th birthday, which was in December. And the response was unbelievable. We did the podcast. Other people did podcasts. They did walks. They did runs. I played football, and that was contributed to the Miles from Mick, and it was absolutely fantastic. Loads of messages for him, and then they sent out some videos of his birthday day, which was fantastic, and then him saying thank you to everyone, which was heartbreaking but brilliant at the same time. And I had a chat with Paul Donnelly a couple of weeks ago, who's the guy who actually set it all up, and he wanted to make sure that we thanked everyone. I also had a conversation with James Lundon, who's Michael's brother, who's an absolute character, and we love him. And his comment was the podcast portrayed Michael and the family exactly how they would have wanted to be portrayed, which was absolutely fantastic. Great to hear. However, he did say that Frankie Strode, who is their cousin, was not happy that we said that Mick was the most successful player in the history of Waterloo Dock.
I think, Simon, you found it was you.
Well, actually, it was Tony Denton. That's
oh,
what
right,
I'm
yeah.
Anyway. So apparently Frankie wasn't happy, but James was absolutely made up with not only the response from everyone, but also the way the podcast came out as well. Paul Donnelly has done an amazing job. The way he got everyone to contribute was unbelievable. And also the GoFundMe raised £25,395 as well. So that's great for the family. Gives them an opportunity to do something that they wouldn't be able to do. And then Paul put up a note on the GoFundMe, and I just wanted to read a little bit of it because I think it's great. It's been brilliant. All of these messages coming in for Mick from all over the place. How people have got involved and done their own thing has been touching. Family, friends, opponents, and people who don't even know Mick. For me, it's been an unbelievable show of people coming together and supporting the cause in very hard times for everyone in our great city. I'm not surprised. I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. Strength and unity, which I think is a fantastic message. But from Paul, he wanted to make sure that we said thanks to everyone, from Vicky and the kids, from Jimmy, who's Michael's dad, from James Lundon, from Tony Denton, from Paul, and most importantly from Michael Lundon as well. Went really well, great cause. Hopefully Michael had a great Christmas, and we'll do a bit more this year, I'm sure. I'm sure we'll pick it up again and do more fun. But thanks from us as well. As soon as we put the GoFundMe out on the Facebook page, I seen that people from our group who don't even know Michael, never met him before, who were donating. That was fantastic, and they very much appreciate it. So I think that's a great way to start today's podcast.
Excellent. Well done. Well done to everyone
involved. If you haven't listened to the podcast with Tony Denton was fantastic, and I'll put a link up here so you can go and watch it. That's definitely worth a watch because you get a bit more understanding of what Michael's gone through, his diagnosis. We learn a little bit more about Tony as well, but that's definitely a good listen. So I'll put a link up so everyone can watch it. All right, so I wanted to start today with some comments before we get into today's topic, and we've had loads. So we had some really good interaction about the 2020 Team of the Year. So we did that on the last podcast, got some really good feedback. People are starting to pick out things that people say in the podcast, which I think is quite interesting. So Darren did it last week to Thomas, and then Andy McFarlane did it as well. So he said, his comment was on Facebook, Thomas Morris, have you got a talking dog? And then he quoted you something you'd said in the podcast. I took my dog out for a walk and my mate said that Kane had to be in the team. So his comment was, are you Bob Calgies in disguise? Which I thought was a brilliant observation from him. And then Dean Booth said, I've not watched it yet, but does Thomas Morris actually pick a goalkeeper to play in goal? Everyone is picking you up on this goalkeeper. No one's forgotten what you did. Dean Booth went on to say, can't believe the debate about Salah. He would walk into any team in the world apart from the Blues. You couldn't say that about Grealish. He was not happy about Grealish.
Yeah, I've gone off Dean Booth. I'll be honest with you. I used to like him.
It goes on. What's that all about? The lad was nearly playing championship football again this season. He's a great player, but he's no Salah, Mane or Son. Must have been to keep Villa Partington happy.
Yeah, it was. And that's how we roll.
But he said, my favourite part was the faces Thomas Morris made every time Simon Grant mentioned an Everton player in the just missed out category. And then I went back and watched it. And whenever I mentioned anyone from Everton, you were like, not happy at all.
Really? Don't even know I'm doing it.
Yeah. There was loads of chat about Villa versus Liverpool as well. The game where Villa played all the kids, loads of chat about that. Darren got a little bit of crap, but also people felt sorry for him as well, which was good. Cy Watson then said, just watching now, Thomas is already making me laugh, talking about Daz saying the same thing at the beginning of the podcast. I knew myself what he was going to say. So everyone has figured out what Darren is going to say, and when he doesn't say it, Thomas kicks off. But probably the funniest thing I've seen on the Facebook group over the last couple of weeks was Dan Watson posted an image of do you remember that Disney, I don't know whether it was Disney but a movie, Finding Dory?
Oh yes
and it was Finding Timo. And it was that image with Timo Werner because he's struggling at Chelsea to get going.
Certainly has. Yeah, certainly has struggled.
Not doing well, is he? I mean, to be fair, he's a decent player, but obviously we missed out on him in the summer because we weren't willing to pay the money or didn't have the money to pay for him at Liverpool. But right now seems like a great decision. Even though actually we haven't got a team at the moment.
It's one of them with him. I think sometimes you just find a club that fits you. Like, I remember Torres at Liverpool was outstanding. One of the best strikers in the world at that time. Went to Chelsea and nothing happened.
Yeah.
And I don't know. But so, you don't know when they come to Liverpool, whether that would have just kickstarted his career in English football. It's a funny one, but he seems to always want to blast the ball in instead of trying to find a spot and going for it. His shooting boots aren't great.
You've got to think he'll come into his own, though, wouldn't you, to find his way in the league, Tom?
Yeah, to be honest, I've always liked the look of him. I thought very direct, very quick. His speed off the mark is exceptional. Go past the player, and his finishing in the Bundesliga was superb. But he's come out with some comments to say, I didn't realise how hard the Premiership was going to be. The physicality, I'm adjusting to it at the moment. But also, he's in a team that's up and down. Frank's changing the formation all the time. He's changing personnel around them, and they're just struggling, Chelsea, at the moment. And he's new in there. He hasn't really settled in yet. I think if he'd come into Liverpool, I think we might see a bit of a difference. Timo Werner, like Jota did, he come in and he just hit the ground running. I mean, thank God we signed Jota and not him at the moment. But to be honest, I think if we judge him in a couple of seasons, I think he's going to go down as being a good player.
Yeah, I agree. I think it'll take him time to get settled in. Well, let's see if any of this, is part of today's show. So what the topic is for this week is we are going to talk about our 2021 football predictions. Now, there's no limit on what these predictions are about. It can be anything in football. It can be anything from predicting who's going to win something to predicting what's going to happen with a certain player. It can be anything. And what we'll do is we'll do one each, and then we'll have a conversation about it, and we'll go around and see how many we can get through. We've got our top five, and then we'll see where we get to. So, Darren, we're going to kick off with you. What is your first big prediction for 2021?
Well, I thought because
and if you say Villa are going to win a game, that's not a great big prediction.
Yeah. I've only got 4 other Villa ones. I thought FA Cup weekend. I thought I'd predict the FA Cup winners this year. Ooh. And I've gone for, and I had to wait till they played to make sure they won. But I've gone for Leicester City. I think they're a very good cup side. I think on the day, with the counter-attacking style, they can beat anyone on the day. And I think they've got to keep Vardy fit, Maddison fit. I think they're solid in defence as well. I like Fofana. I've mentioned them before. I think Leicester City under Rodgers.
I think you've got a bit of a thing for Fofana.
I do as well.
I think in the next 4 or 5 years he'll be the top defender in European football.
You want him at Villa, don't you?
I don't think he'd get in.
In the kids' team.
So I think Leicester City of my FA Cup tip.
It's not a bad shout because I do think having a striker like Vardy in a cup game gives you an edge. So I think they've definitely got a chance.
I think is it Tielemans as well? Is that his name? Is centre mid?
Tielemans.
Yeah,
I think he's been excellent. I think they've got Barnes on the left. They've got an ex-Villa player, Albrighton, on the right, who's doing quite well, and they just feed into Vardy all the time. And they've got Maddison who can pick up those holes. I think they've got an excellent chance.
Daz, what is it with your inability to pronounce players' names? You've just killed my ability to pronounce his name. His name's Tielemans, not Tielemans.
Well,
you get them wrong all the time. What's going on?
Every time. I'm Robbie Robson.
Either that or you forget their names.
I do, and halfway through I think that was a finish.
There's a centre-half who played for West Ham, I can't remember his name.
I start off by knowing it. By the time it gets to the 4th letter, I've panicked and don't know the rest of it. But I do think they're well up for it.
Yeah, I think that's not a bad shout. I don't think they're going to win it, but it's not a bad shout. Okay, so I am going to predict the Champions League winners.
Ooh.
And I think this year, given the form of Liverpool, I would have loved to have said that they will win it. I don't think Liverpool will win the Champions League this year. I actually think it'll be Bayern Munich again.
I agree.
They look too strong. They've got their tactics are really well set out now. They look stronger in Europe than they do in the Bundesliga. And in fact, they got beat at the weekend by Mönchengladbach. But I think in Europe, they're just too strong. They set up really well. They've got a young team. And I just think there's people just won't live with them, especially in the two-leg games as well. They'll be too strong, and then I think they will win the Champions League this year.
Good shout. I agree. Totally agree with that one.
Cool.
I was thinking about that last night. My shout, or my first prediction, is fat Frank Lampard. His head is on the chopping block. I think if he doesn't get a decent result this weekend or next couple of league games, I think he's gone.
Yeah, I had him in mind as well. That's a classic.
He's the next big managerial to go.
What do you think is going wrong there for him?
I just think he's inexperienced. I think he signed too many players at once, and I don't think the quality's there. Some of them haven't settled in, and I don't think at times his tactics are right. So I think all round, I think the package isn't there for him at the moment.
And he's come out this week, hasn't he, and said, the fact that they're going through this bad streak is a good learning curve for them. Your fans are not going to like that, mate.
Yeah,
I think what Frank's missing is an older head on his coaching staff. Someone who's been around, done it before. I would have personally, I'd have liked to see maybe Glenn Hoddle go in with Frank, just to give him a bit of wise words, bit of coaching. I like Glenn Hoddle as a coach. I think he's excellent. And I think he's already got connections with Chelsea. He was their manager previously. Yeah. And so I think it's, I do think he needs someone.
Well, what about getting someone like a Billy Birch in?
I think Billy Birch is a one-man band. I'm not sure he can
imagine him standing on the line, couldn't you, shouting down Frank's ear as he's taking a puff of his fifth fag within the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, shouting to the centre half. The Dave Maloney, getting the Dave Maloney position.
Yeah, I think he's struggling. I also think if you look at his players as well, Timo Werner hasn't settled. Havertz is a bit off the mark. Who's the left-sided player who's really good?
Ziyech.
I think he's an outstanding player, but again, tying them all together is not great. I don't think that's working that well. We'll see how that goes in the coming weeks. But I agree, in 2021, I would expect that Lampard would
just because they're linked, I'm going to throw my next one in there. I fancy Brendan Rodgers to get the job if he goes. So that's me. That's who I think will end up being the next Chelsea manager if Frank doesn't turn the results around in the next few weeks.
Because Thomas, isn't Brendan Rodgers, wasn't he youth team coach at Chelsea?
He was, yeah. He was. And he's got a style of play, Brendan Rodgers. I liked him at Liverpool. I think his one downfall was he just talked too much. He talked too much and he come across as sometimes slightly arrogant when we were going through that purple patch where we were blowing teams away. So other than that, I thought he did a really good job at Liverpool.
Yeah, he was a good people manager as well. He did a good job with the coaching, and as I say, he was good with the players. Not quite at Klopp's level, but certainly did a good job with them. But I think he's probably would be a good coach for Chelsea and would get them on the right path with that kind of money behind him as well. You never know.
Yeah,
I think Frank struggles with the big players, if that makes sense. The ones he's brought in are well known. At Derby, he had players there who looked up to him, if that makes sense. And I think it's a different calibre. So when you got Ancelotti walking into a club, he's wise, he's older, he's been there, he's done it. We've mentioned a couple of other coaches in the past. But I think when you're a young coach going into a club like Chelsea, I think it's very, very... Although you're a Chelsea legend as a player, it's still very, very difficult.
Oh, the pressure is massive, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. And I think he'll probably go in the summer. I think they'll see the summer out with him.
I don't know whether he'll last till the summer, because I just think Abramovich is for a big show of power, isn't he? So at some stage, I think he'll go before the end of the year, but I think he'll last a little bit longer. It's a shame though, because I do think that eventually, I think he'll be a good manager, but I just don't think he'll last the time with Chelsea.
Bring in Harry Redknapp. That's my thing.
Yeah, no, Sam.
I can't stand them. I can't stand Fat Frank.
Yeah.
In fact, I can't stand Chelsea. Full stop.
Yeah, no, we haven't noticed, Tom. All right.
Can we wait for your wall of hate, Thomas? Can we?
Daz, what's your next prediction?
I've gone for, and I'm going to upset quite a few people here. I've gone for most dive to win a penalty, Mo Salah.
Ooh,
2021.
How can someone who has got Grealish in their team have a go about diving? I mean, that is rich.
In the penalty area, I'm talking about penalties now. I think, obviously this one's tongue-in-cheek, but I do most dives to win a penalty. I've gone for Mo Salah, and apparently it's 3-1 on at the bookies. I've checked it. Grealish is just behind them.
Yeah.
And then
it's only because Grealish doesn't get in the box as much.
True.
All right, so I've got a linked one with Grealish. So my next one is Grealish to United in the summer.
I had the same one. I agree.
Yeah.
Oh, did you two speak before this podcast or something? Oh, I agree.
No, that's just the thought that was going to be the case. He's a good player. He's upped his levels this year, and he's something that United are crying out for, a bit of creativity alongside Fernandes.
I don't think he will, and this is the reason why. I think because he's had such a good season so far, it's going to take over 100 million to buy him. He signed a 5-year contract before Christmas, and I don't know whether he thinks, do you know what, we're onto something decent at Villa at the moment. He's 23 or 4, I'm not sure how old. I think he's club captain. I think it's going to take a mammoth transfer fee to get him, and I'm not sure United will pay him.
Here's the other perspective, Daz. He's 23 or 24, and although Villa is a massive club, it's a massive club that are not going to win anything anytime soon. And if he doesn't make the move now, then he almost gets into that process where it's really difficult to leave the club. Whereas now, if someone comes in, I don't think it'll be 100 million. I think it'll probably be back to somewhere around the 80 million. But United will pay that. I think they'll sell Pogba. They'll make a load of money, and then they'll spend that money on Grealish.
I have heard PSG are coming in for Pogba, either now or in the summer.
I think that's probably the right place for him to go. He's not good enough at United. Doesn't influence the game as much. I think Grealish will do a real job. And I think if you look at the way they're building that team as well, the Fernandes is brilliant, but needs someone alongside him to influence the game. And I think Grealish should do a job.
Yeah, and I'm also one of these supporters who, I don't mind players going on in their careers, and it's the way they do it. If he goes to United and they win things with him, fair play to him. I don't think at this moment of time that will happen in the summer.
All right.
The issue I have, Darren, with players leaving is certainly from my club. I don't think there's a from leaving Liverpool. I think they're the best team and club in the world. And obviously your team as well. You think that, but being realistic, they're a mid-table team, which is a massive improvement on last year. And Simon's right; they're not going to win anything. And if he's going to show his true potential, he needs to go to one of the bigger clubs that are challenging week in, week out. And Villa aren't going to be in that position for a long time.
So for those who missed what Thomas said then, because your sound dropped off, you said that your view is there isn't a step up from Liverpool. So then why would players leave? Whereas with Villa, they're mid-table.
I don't know. Suarez has done all right, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. Look at what's going on with him now. That was a really weird situation at the end of last season.
Yeah, bizarre. I think he left because he was sulking with Messi or something, wasn't he?
I mean, can you imagine? He goes from Liverpool, where he's an absolute superstar, and Liverpool was starting to do better, almost won the league. And then he goes to Barcelona and makes that team better. I mean, that's some move, that.
Yeah.
All right, so I've got my next one is, and this is a little bit controversial, Cy Watson is not going to like this. Man City will finish outside of the top 2 this year.
Ooh.
So my question is, who are the top 2?
So I don't have to name my top 2 because all I'm saying is I don't know. So I actually think Tottenham will finish second. I think Liverpool will win it. I do think that Liverpool will at some stage run. I mean, that was one of my other ones, but I'm going to shelve that. We'll run away with it at some stage because we'll get some form. And considering how poorly we've been playing, and we're still in the mix at the top, I think once we get a bit of form, I think we'll do well and we'll win the league. But I think Tottenham will stay the course and be decent towards the end of the year. And I think City will drop outside. And do you know what? There's a chance that United could finish ahead of them, the way they're playing at the moment.
I think City have got 2 games in hand. And if they win that, don't they go top? Am I right?
They do, yeah. You're right, Darren.
And I think
2 points.
I think with Liverpool haven't hit form yet, probably agree City haven't really hit form yet either. So I think it's set up nicely going into the final part of the season where you've got 3 or 4 clubs who are still in the chase. I do think it'll come down to City and Liverpool again. I think, but saying they're going to finish out the top 2, that's a great statement, Simon. And I hope Cy Watson doesn't speak to you before the season finishes because he'll have a few strong words.
He will, yeah. He won't be.
Well, I've got a great one to jump on, piggyback on the back of Simon's there. I don't think Liverpool will retain the title if they don't sign a centre half.
I mean, I don't know if my agent's been in touch with Liverpool, but do you know what, Thomas? I would agree with that. I think what it showed the other night when Villa played them, I know it was kids and what have you, but it showed you actually, once they get past one or two of the players who can play centre-half, they're struggling massively. Villa's goal, I thought, was outstanding. And it showed you that if they continue to play that high line Liverpool, they need to sort something out pretty quick.
Yeah, but you could have called it. You could have called that because of Reece Williams playing centre-half. The problem was him. It wasn't anything else. He's just not fast enough. And he turns too slow. Now, I think, again, in the future, he'll be a decent player. But he hasn't found his feet yet. And decent, fast players are going to get him on the back foot all the time. And all that happened was he got found out. And the attacker did really well, got in front of him. Really intelligent the way he got in front of him. And then he was away and he couldn't catch him. There was no way he was going to catch him. He's just not good enough to play centre-half for Liverpool. I think that's clear. I think that's why I agree. I think we do need to sign a centre-half.
Yeah, to be honest, I think that it was a great finish and lovely composure by the kid. Looked great on the night, worked really hard. But the goal was created by Liverpool's mistakes rather than him showing a bit of brilliance. Liverpool were really poor.
No, I disagree with that. I thought we got in the midfield and he played a lovely pass. The pass he played in was absolutely superb. The weight of the pass was perfect. And I think you're doing a disservice there to the lad who played the ball.
I would agree, but I would say if a Van Dijk is playing there, I don't know whether he gets away from him.
Well, that's not the issue. The issue is you can say if, must, and however.
I agree, mate. The 3 or 4 passes they had in the middle of the park was great. Yeah. Through ball was a great pass, and the way he got in front of him. But if you watch what happens,
it was Liverpool's mistakes
for him to get in front of that defender. Again, I just don't think that happens against the Van Dijk. But you're right. On the night, outstanding goal. And
but you can't say if, but, and however's. The issue was the guy won it in the midfield. But whether it's Liverpool's mistake or not, you're still playing that pass. It's not Liverpool's mistake. The pass has to be really good. He could have just kicked that over the top and it could have gone out.
You do understand that Thomas permanently wears red tinted glasses, don't you?
Well, like the back of his wall.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So, Darren, you're next.
So I'm going to throw this one in now. I've gone for the Euro 2021 winners. I've gone for Belgium.
Oh, do you know what? It's a brilliant shout. I seen their team the other day and it looks brilliant. They've got an outstanding team.
I just think they've got great individuals who can change games. It's whether, is it Martinez in charge, he can get them to play as a team and to get the timing of that sort of tournament mentality right. And I think they could easily go on and do something special in the Euro 2021.
That is,
to be honest, my French friends who I converse with regularly will be happy with me saying this. They're not a patch on France when France get going, and the quality of players, Mbappe and Griezmann. When you look at the French side, I think they slightly outdo them, and I think it's France's, to be honest, in my opinion. But it is a good shout, Darren.
That'd be a good final, them two, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, we're nowhere near, by the way.
No, we'll be lucky if we get through to the knockout phase. All right, I'm going to throw another one out there, which is one specifically for Thomas. Liverpool to sign Sergio Ramos in the summer.
I tell you what, Simon, that's.
But imagine Liverpool signing Sergio Ramos, and then obviously as soon as he signs Liverpool, he's the best player in the world as far as Thomas is concerned. And then us replaying the wall of hate for Thomas.
What gets me is Salah will go, won't he, to Madrid in a swap deal?
Well, that may be. Let's wait and see what happens.
It's he's on a free, isn't he?
Yeah.
To be honest, I was thinking about when Liverpool signed Craig Bellamy and how much I hated Craig Bellamy, and then we signed him, and within like 2 games, he was my favourite player because he was everything that you want in a player. He is horrible. He kicks everyone. He offers his own players out. He offers their players out. He offered the line out. He wants to fight everyone. And if he's doing that for you, then there's nothing but love going his way. And I can't stand Ramos, as you know, but if we were to sign him, you're right, he's going to be the best centre-half in the world alongside Van Dijk.
And that's what I love about Thomas. He's not swayed at all.
He's like a chameleon, isn't he?
Yeah, honestly, that's brilliant.
All right, Daz, you're up next.
So I've gone for another little tongue-in-cheek one, really. I've gone for most penalties given by fouling themselves. I've gone Man United.
That's an absolute cracker. Yeah, you won't get any arguments here for that. That's a brilliant one. Falling over your own foot.
He's already won it. He's already won it.
There's an awful lot of that kick in the back of your own leg, isn't there?
Oh,
yes. Penalty.
Yeah, definitely. So I thought Man United might win that one.
All right, Thomas, you're next.
I'm going to go with predictions. I think very quickly, I'm going to say what my top four is and my relegated teams are. So the three going down are the ones that are there now. It's going to be Sheffield United, West Brom and Fulham. I don't think any of them are getting out. And a made-up Big Fat Sam is struggling. And then Liverpool to win it, can't go against my team. City to finish second, but to be honest, I'm really worried about City's form at the minute. I think he looked amazing the other day. Man U third and Spurs in fourth. I don't think Chelsea are going to make it, and I don't think Everton might just scrape the last European spot. That's my prediction.
Okay. I wouldn't argue with the bottom three. I think Brighton are really struggling at the moment, although I think they've got enough quality to get out of it. They're missing a few players as well, which hasn't helped them. But they're definitely struggling at the moment. But I'd agree, those three just look really poor. And the one that is probably doing the best out of them is Fulham, and they are absolutely useless. So I just don't think they've got it in them at all. I also think they've got a relatively inexperienced coach with Scott Parker, and I just don't think he's going to be able to get them out of it. The top four, as I said before, I don't think City are going to finish in the top two. I'd go for Liverpool, Tottenham, City, United.
I'm going to be a bit controversial. I'm going to go for, and it's going to be close, but I think I'm going to go City, Liverpool, and I'm going to go Tottenham United.
Okay.
I think it's going to go down. Hopefully, I'd like to go down to the last game or two, because I think, Tom, I think you mentioned on the other podcast, that Aguero moment.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you want that for your team. And the last game of the season, it was just everything. The bottom three, Thomas, I think you're spot on. I don't think those teams have enough goals in them to stay up. And it's a shame about Sheffield United because they did so well last year. But actually, they've not moved the team on, and everybody else around them has.
And they got the first win in, I can't remember how long, yesterday, was it?
Yeah,
in the FA Cup, 3-2.
Yeah.
And even that, they struggled again, didn't they?
They just can't score goals. And the guy they've got up front, and the other guy decided from, is it Liverpool, who was the young guy?
Yeah,
Brewster. Unfortunately, I know the chances aren't getting created, and the striker's going to be, judged on goals, but I don't think there's enough there.
Not at the moment, no.
No.
Okay, Tom, what have you got? Oh, no, actually, it's Darren.
I've just done that. That was me.
No, I've done a penalty. Isn't it you, Simon?
Oh, was it back to me again?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So I think, this is one. So you said before about Salah going the other way to Real Madrid. I think in the summer, Liverpool will replace Salah with Haaland.
Ooh, that'd be nice.
Ooh, okay.
However, I think that throws a bit of a cat amongst the pigeons for us as well, because it'd mean we'd have to either change form. Well, we would have to change formation, because when we played Haaland, we'd have to play Haaland at the top of the tree and not Firmino dropping into the number 10 type role. So I do think, but I agree with Dan what he said earlier about Liverpool. The plan B is somewhat missing. When teams sit back, we struggle to get in behind them, which is why we've done so poorly in the last couple of games. And Klopp can see that. And I think he's got Jota is a good option for that, because I think he can create things in behind. But we need someone who can play on the shoulder, the centre half, can put them under pressure, and also can bully them a little bit as well. And he could be that.
Yeah, I do like him a lot. I think he's making headlines. It's that issue again where he has to hit the ground running if he comes, because you don't want him to be another Timo Werner. I think, for me, I think Liverpool would have to change the style. And I think Jota's right. I think he can play either side as well, and he can play just behind. I like Jota a lot. For me, I just think Salah going would have a massive impact on Liverpool's formation, and whether Firmino then plays on that right, or does he go as well?
He can't do it. That's not a role for him. But I think you have to think about how you play. The good thing is that Jota can play anywhere across the front three. But certainly would be difficult to replace Salah. But I think Thomas made a point on a previous podcast. He's the only person. Haaland is the only person who you could think could replace Salah in terms of his contribution in goals and goal threat. Not necessarily in the same position, but you'd have to move things around a little bit. But it wouldn't be that difficult to fill the right-hand spot if you brought Haaland in up top. And then you've got options then with Firmino and Jota as well. But I don't think it's straightforward. But I just think if Salah goes, there's not an obvious world-class replacement other than Haaland. And we're not
the issue you've got there.
You can talk about that all day. That's not happening.
Yeah, the issue you've got there is that only works if he comes bringing the numbers that he's scoring now.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah,
because that's only just matching. He's only matching what Salah's already doing, and I think that's where a lot of. I think he's a fabulous footballer. At times he can frustrate you a little bit, but just the goals and the numbers that he puts in year on year out that he's done for the last few years has been phenomenal. So we need to sort of appreciate that while we've got it and not think, well, if we were going to lose someone, he'd be the one that you'd lose. I don't think that's necessary. You know, we could keep Salah and bring Haaland in and lose Firmino.
Yeah.
We've got another goal threat. So, you know, let's not be quick to try and get rid of Salah. I hope he stays a long time and carries on in his goal scoring vein that he's got.
I wouldn't push him out the door at all. I'd want to keep him, but I just think there's been too much chat about Real Madrid, and I think at some stage he's going. And if he goes, Haaland appears to be the only real replacement that can, other than Lewandowski, but I think he's too old to bring into the Liverpool team anyway. But Haaland is the right profile of player to bring in and then develop with the team as well. So
yeah, I think the only club Salah would go to is Real Madrid. I think it's Real Madrid still have that pull that top players want to have that on the CV and look back on and see it as something. So no, I think that's an interesting shout.
All right, that's over to you for next one.
Well, I've got to put in an Aston Villa sort of throw. So I'm going to go for most impact on the season for the club. And I'm going for Jack Grealish with Villa and England in the Euro 2021. I think his form, if England are doing okay, Jack Grealish is one of the few players who actually can beat a player at the moment and look to create something. There's not many, I don't think, for England. And I'd like to say this could be Jack Grealish's sort of moment to shine, which might then, Thomas, we said it before, move to a bigger club, if you like, if he has a good Euro 2021.
I think it's a great shout for the Euros, because if you look at the England team, they are so boring. It's unbelievable. It's just pedestrian football. It's boring to watch. We've got nothing against the big teams, and we need someone who can unlock the door. And I actually think Grealish could be that player in the England team, because I also think that international football is different as well. It's played at a totally different pace, and his turn of pace and his ability to get past a man could definitely do it for us. And the referees are much more likely to give things like penalties and free kicks in the Euros, which then means we could get a load, because Grealish will spend probably 50% on his arse.
You always have to do that, Si. You give him so many compliments and then you knock him down, which is easy to do, apparently. But I do think the Euro 2021, Jack Grealish could step up quite well.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you mentioned England in your last breath there, because when you said he's going to be Villa's player of the season, not hard, is it? Because you're like, hey. So that first off, I was like, oh my God, what's he saying here? That's not hard, is it, to pick? And then mentioning England, to be honest, Darren, I couldn't tell you. I haven't watched an England game for so long. I don't know. I just hear people say how bad they are. So I'll give you that one. But it's not hard being Villa's best player.
All right.
Thomas, so I'm disgusted. I really am. I think...
just leave it, Daz. Don't just leave it.
It's not worth it. Simon, you're right. You're right. It's not worth it. No.
We've all had a drink. All right, so I've got a Villa one as well. Villa to finish in the top 10.
Oh yeah. No, I think that's a definite for me. I'd say if we're looking at overachieving, I think 8th. If we're overachieving, I think 10th will be a one where you think, that's where we want to be this year, if you like. But I think that's a great shout. And have we progressed that much? I would say we have made great progress, but I also think there's some poor teams below us as well.
Definitely, the league is not great this year.
Who haven't made any progress. And I think the difference is Villa have signed 2 or 3 quality players that other teams haven't managed to go out and sign. So that's the great shout.
So, Darren, would you... I always think this is a bit... sometimes it goes for you, sometimes it goes against you. Would you like to see Villa make the Europa League this year? Sneak in, maybe the last position?
I would, because I think as a club, we might be able to attract 1 or 2 more players that want to play in Europe as a club. And I think that's what you want to do. And then, you know, there's talk at the moment of us going to get a lad from Portsmouth, a right winger from Portsmouth. Not Portsmouth, sorry, Bournemouth. And I think Dean Booth, he's doing quite well. But Dean Smith is putting together a young players that he wants to almost mould for the next couple of years. And I think Europa would attract a couple of more players.
All right, Thomas, you're in for the last one.
Oh, well, for my last one, I've got a bit of a special one. And I reckon Darren is going to get a date this year. But not only that, I think the first journey into the bedroom, he's going to be that excited, he's going to get it up the duff.
I don't know whether to laugh or cry.
Darren said duff, not the muff.
That is genius.
That's a great show.
I mean, I don't know whether I'd go along with that, but
yeah, my How to Date book is out next Christmas.
Yeah, don't read it, don't buy it.
No, don't write it.
Brilliant. All right. So let's talk about the ones that didn't get into the top list. So I had a couple. One of them I had was Messi to City in the summer.
I don't think that's going to happen.
I think it's going to. Yeah, I think it's going to America.
Well, anyway, it was on my list. And then the other one was, and this is a controversial one, I don't want this to happen, but I think it's a possibility, is Klopp to leave in 2021.
Woo!
I think it's a lot to do with his relationships with the owners will play a major part in that.
I do, and I think they'll do everything to keep him. But I just think, given what's going on at the moment, I don't like to see him the way he is at the moment. I think his interviews are really worrying me because he's almost blaming everyone else. Like, he had to go with that reporter, which I totally understand why he did that, but you're talking to the wrong person. No point having to go with a reporter about what Sky are doing. And I just think every interview I see with him lately, he just does not look happy at all. And you wouldn't be happy because we're not playing well. But I just think his outward persona does not look great at the moment. And that is a worry. I hope that's not the case.
Ask you a question now. Where do you think he would go, if anywhere?
No idea, mate. But, you've got to think it'll be a top team. It wouldn't be anywhere in England. It'd be somewhere else, possibly into Spain.
Okay. Thomas, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I disagree. I think Liverpool are just on a bit of a... they're on a down patch at the minute. I think give us a couple of weeks and we'll be talking totally different. I think he's feeling how everyone's feeling, lockdown and COVID, and he's in a different country, and if they're on lockdown in Germany, he may have family there that he's not able to go and see and stuff. I think personally, it's really difficult for people now, and professionally it's really difficult. So possibly, all that's just weighing on him, and it's weighing on our performances at the minute. We're not playing very well. I think give it a couple of weeks and we'll see that massive smile and him bouncing around again.
I hope that's the case, because I think he is massive to what's happened at Liverpool. I do think that it's obvious that it's being settled for Gerrard to come back at some stage and take over. The question is, when is that? And I think Gerrard probably needs some time to get to the level where he needs to be. It'd be great if Klopp could hang around until it's the right time to make that happen. But what we know about things like this is it generally doesn't happen when you want it to. It happens when you don't want it to. And I just hope that prediction is wrong. Anyone got any others that they want to throw in before we move to our last, which we're going to end with player to watch. But anyone got any others before we move to that?
I've got one, which we touched on a couple of weeks ago, really. It's the most excited player to score a goal, and I've gone for Thomas Morris.
He's won it. Are we talking about next year's charity game, Dan?
I think next year's charity game, he's going to come on and score again, and we're going to see the physique that can only be described as awe and wonder.
Honestly, I hope it never happens. I'm not playing. I couldn't do one.
I've said my piece on me scoring. That's it, done.
Killed me. I still have bad dreams about it now. All right. So, player to watch this year. I'll kick this one off. Pedro Neto.
Ooh. All right. Yeah.
I think that could be an absolute cracker to watch this year. I think he'll do well, and I think he could potentially get a big move in the summer.
Yeah, no, I do like him. I do like him a lot.
Yeah. Okay.
So I've gone for. I had 2 at Arsenal, but I'm going to go for Emile Smith-Rowe, who scored the other night. He's been valuable to Arsenal at the moment. He's a midfield player who likes to throw a tackle in. He's tough in a tackle, proved he can score goals. And I think Arteta stumbled across someone there who actually, him, Saka, and a couple of other young lads, they can start to build something. I told about Arteta having 2 or 3 transfer windows. If he's got young lads as a base, put a bit more quality around them. So I think Emile Smith-Rowe's one to watch this year to see his development.
Good one, now. I like that.
Yeah, quality player. I've gone for someone that you'll never ever think. I've gone for a Chelsea player. I've gone for young Billy Gilmore.
Oh, yeah.
Centre midfield. I think he got man of the match in his first 3 or 4 games that he played. He certainly got man of the match against Liverpool in his debut. 16 or 17 years old. Absolute quality centre midfielder. If he can avoid injuries, which he's suffering from now, and grow into the league, I think he's got the chance to be right up there with the very best central midfielders around. He was quality the games that I've seen him play.
Yeah, great shout. He's a young lad who really seems to control the game as well. Really good player. I like him.
I like him. I just hope he's given the chance at Chelsea.
Well, I think the reason he hasn't been playing is he got a nasty injury, and he hasn't played for a few months. And I think possibly on his way back, or he's just come back from injury. So best of luck to him. He looks like an absolute worldie on the ball.
Yeah.
Tactically, he's superb. He's playing years above his age. Just looks absolutely brilliant. So he's my one to watch.
Love it. Okay. All right. Before we move on to the Thomas Morris Wall of Hate, I did have one more, which was Thomas will be on time and prepared for an episode at some point during 2021.
No, never. Never going to happen, mate.
What do you mean?
Not both at the same time. Is either prepared or on time or prepared?
I'm the most prepared. I think you'll find that everybody agrees with me the most.
That doesn't mean you're prepared.
That is brilliant. That's genius.
What do you mean?
You know that like 77% of stats are made up on the spot.
No, it's 85.
I've just made that.
All right, so
I'm always on time and ready.
Whatever. No one could claim that we're not ready to address the difficult subjects that hang around. We've talked about COVID and the impact on the world and on football. We've talked about mental health, which is a great episode. We've talked about everything that's going on in the world. But what we haven't done yet is talked about politics. And me and Darren don't really want to talk about politics because it could get us in trouble. But what we figured is Thomas could not represent any of our views, just represents his own. And he could talk about one of the most topical things at the moment and do a wall of hate on a political figure. So, Thomas, who are you mostly hating this week?
Oh, give me a minute, because this can't believe you built me up like that. I like to let people know, build up slowly and then tell people who I'm doing.
What I like, Simon, is that he's not prepared.
Or on time. So come on, who are you mostly hating this week?
So this week, I'm mostly hating someone whose career I have followed for a long time, but particularly in the last 4 years. He is someone who has tried to do more to divide the nation than anyone in the history of the good old US of A. He was born in Queens in New York City from a German immigrant father, but he didn't take any of his German dad's good points, like laying towels next to the swimming pool at 6 o'clock in the morning, not to claim the best spot on Aldi. No, unfortunately, he seems to take some other German traits from World War II. This week, I'm mostly hating Donald J. Trump.
Very topical. I like the fact that you're doing it now.
Yeah, well, let's see how it goes anyway. He graduated from Wharton School of the University of Pennsylvania in 1968 with a BS in economics. I think we all know what the BS stands for. His first reported lie was that he graduated with first-class honours, but in fact, he never even made the school honour list. He was medically deferred from being drafted to the military service in Vietnam, and I can only guess it was because he was missing something, a brain, or more importantly, his balls. He married Czech model Ivana Zenikova. Do you like that?
Well done.
He had 3 children. I can only think she married him for his money and a green card, but I could be wrong. He has reportedly had several affairs and was caught paying $130,000 to porn star Stormy Daniels not to spill the beans. Now, I have an idea what she normally does to get paid, but going near the fat, vinegar-titted, Ronseal wearing, does what it says on the tin, dark orange fence tan, absolute effing nut job. Tell you what, times must have been bad for that poor desperate Stormy. So, to top that off, he is currently married to his 3rd wife, who is Slovenian model Melania Knaus. You know what? I am fluent. I literally am bang on. And she actually was bang tidy when he got with her. Now, the fact that Donald J. Trump can get 3 women to marry him, and our very own Darren can't even get a date or a cheeky fumble behind the bike sheds, tell you all you need to know about the world right now. He was such a great businessman that in 1982, Trump was listed on the Forbes list, but by 1990, he was dropped. Shame it wasn't off one of his towers. Apparently, he has a habit of lying. Who knew? About his wealth. And it's reported that his net worth changes depending on who he's talking to. Forbes estimated in October 2018 that the value of Trump's empire had declined by 88% since 2015. And if you speak to Trump with his BS degree, it increased by 12%.
That's brilliant.
He's gone bankrupt 6 times, leaving workers and firms with massive debts while he's traveling the world in his private jets, the absolute weapon. He has failed more businesses. He's had more failed businesses than Man City have had failed defenders. He has a skill of walking into flourishing businesses and making it fail within a couple of months. His football equivalent would be Ronald Koeman. And finally, we get onto his political career. He has been affiliated to different parties at numerous times over the years. He was registered as a Republican. He's been registered as a Democrat, an Independent, and also the Reform Party member. Him denying his different party allegiances is like Prince Andrew denying he knew Jeffrey Epstein. Trump and Epstein have been fannying around together for years. In 2020, there was speculation Trump was running against President Barack Obama. Now, I hoped it was only ever going to be speculation, but sadly not. In 2016, he announced he was going to run. Now, I would have taken a full spandex suit with headband and matching wristbands, but sadly, he meant running for presidency. Could you imagine Trump wearing a 118 suit? When he made his speech saying that he was going to build a great, great wall and have Mexico pay for it, I rushed out and I bought shares in sand and cement. Sadly, the profits haven't materialised, but that's not concrete.
Hey, but
So the Mexican border is 3,145 kilometres long. Now, I'm not sure how high he wanted to build this wall, but I'm estimating that it would have taken the bricklayers a long time. If one bricklayer started when he was 50, the wall would have to have been finished by his great-grandson. No wonder he's a failed businessman. The fact that he's only built 12 miles of it shows just how much he must exaggerate how big his dick is. He was defeated in the latest presidential race by a talking skeleton. Literally, they have dragged Joe Biden out of He-Man. It was worth taking a chance on Biden surviving the 4 years than have Donald Trump win again. He royally kicked off and refused to go quietly, ordering his idiotic supporters to march on the Capitol. They then stormed the Senate building. One of these idiots reportedly tasered his own balls 4 times and had a heart attack while trying to get a picture inside the building. Woo! Great balls on fire. So, for being an absolute weapon to so many different groups in society, for being an absolute weapon and a disaster as a president of the United States, and for being an absolute weapon on social media and saying that he can go around smacking people's fannies, Donald Trump, you are the first and my most enjoyable person to put on the 2021 Thomas Morris Wall of Hate.
Woo! That is absolutely brilliant. I just need to caveat that by saying this doesn't represent all of our views, and it's just Thomas Morris's.
However, most of it
in case you go to jail.
I fact-checked most of that, and that was fine.
Oh, my God, that was genius. Oh, brilliant.
Well done, Thomas. That was really good.
What an idiot he is. I mean, this week is just...
Hey, you leave Thomas alone, mate. He's best here.
I didn't know whether it could get any worse, but this week, it's just got worse, hasn't it? He's just even more of an idiot now than he ever was. That whole situation where he came out and told all those protesters that they were special and he loved them. And then within a couple of hours, he was reading that script and denouncing what they'd done. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good.
Absolute weapon.
That was brilliant. I absolutely
well done,
loved
Thomas.
that. Well done, Thomas. All right, so we get to the final thoughts. Daz, what have you got for us?
I'm just, for me, I'm glad that football's continuing. It's difficult times for everybody, but it does give you a bit of a lift when you watch it, even if you're watching Liverpool. I'm hoping the season is a close run thing. I think it'd be great for lots of teams to be involved towards the end. And I'm hoping, I like a European 2021. I think it'd be great if we had a good tournament as well. Get everyone's spirits up. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, it's the only time you'll get Thomas watching any kind of international football anyway. So
definitely.
All right, Thomas, what have you got for us?
I was talking to you before we come on. I always struggle for the final thoughts because my brain doesn't work that quick. I've got to be well prepared. But I've noticed loads of messages on Facebook and Twitter lately saying that people are struggling after Christmas and stuff. If you are struggling, please talk to people. You know, it's really important that everyone, you know, phones, messages people, making sure the mates are all right, the family members are all right. You know, people that you haven't spoken to for a while, just drop them a text or give them a call. Just make sure everyone's all right. Look after each other. It's really important at this time of year, and certainly with this new lockdown coming in, a lot of people are going to be struggling anyway, and then this has happened. Please make sure you look out for each other.
Yeah, definitely. And that's what this is all about. And I think if you tie those two things together, you know, football is a great escape for people, and it's our greatest escape. That's why we do this. We come on and talk about football because this is our therapy. This is our way of dealing with our mental pressures as well. The Facebook is going really well. The interaction is outstanding. Twitter, Instagram, the comments on YouTube. People are visiting the website at www.3menoffootball.com. The downloads of the podcast are going really well as well. People are getting really well involved. We're getting loads of feedback about things to talk about all the time. Keep it coming. But also, if you are struggling, let us know. Get on the podcast. Yeah. We'll get people on. We've had a lot of fun doing it over the last, because it's nearly 12 months now. It's been brilliant. We're into 2021. We'll do this right throughout the year until someone gets bored and wants to go and do something else, or apparently Darren gets picked up.
His big break.
Yeah, gets his big break on a soap.
That's the dream. That's the dream, lads. So if any Hollyoaks, Coronation Street people are watching, I'm available.
Well, in
right. Get involved, everyone. Give us your feedback. Let us know what you think. Tell us what you think about our predictions, and give us your top 3 predictions in the comments or on Facebook, and we'll talk about them on the next episode. All right, thanks, lads. Have a great week.
Take care, lads.
Take it easy.
See you soon. Bye-bye.
See you. Bye.